Hello everyone, nubkeks here, and welcome back to Nub Raids, where today we have got to talk. We have got to talk about Raid's biggest problem and how much worse it has gotten because of Live Arena. A game mode I love. I love Live Arena. I think there's a ton of potential there. It's probably the most fun content they've added in almost 2 years to the game. It's absolutely brilliant, but there is a really big problem with it. Uh, so let me break it down for you, and I promise you are going to be shocked by even the very simple breakdown I'm going to show you here today. I was writing this out on my phone and I added it up and I was like, oh my god, I can't believe it. The biggest problem, very simply, is time. It is time. And by the way, we've got the trusty notepad. We're going to check this out as well. Because I was raging about it. I had a 20-minute live arena fight. The guy basically went into the fight with 4 super tanky champions, like an Uko that was stunning me. It took 20 minutes for me to kill him. Because this Uko was stunning me. It would not get polymorphed. Eventually, we killed him. But I was like, man, what a waste of my time. He should have just left and let me get on with my life. The 20 minutes down the drain. How much time, though, does Raid take? And how much is Live Arena contributing to that overall time? Let me break it down. Okay, first of all, your energy. This one is a little bit tricky to break down. I have 60 multi-battles per day. Depends on your clan level. I'm going to say go with 50 multi-battles. And I'm going to say about 2 minutes per multi-battle. You know, obviously you've got load screens are part of that. And I'd say that's a fairly standard, good, solid team for a dungeon run. Or, you know, doing your dailies for the Iron Twins Fortress, right? Probably takes about 2 minutes with a solid team. You could do campaign and it would be faster, maybe Minotaur be a bit quicker. So you could adjust this one if you want to. If you really disagree at 2 minutes, go for it. I think it's a fairly standard dungeon time. You actually add all that up, that's 100 minutes. It's quite a big chunk here. And of course, that's just using your multi-battles, right? That's if you're going to run in campaign, 50 multi-battles is not going to use up all your daily energy and so on. So if you're trying to use up your energy, it can take a hell of a lot more. Next up, I'm actually going to go to what I think would be the most important thing to do every day, which would be your 3 clan boss runs, right? Your demon lord runs. I'd say those each take about 20 minutes to do, giving you about 60 minutes. Now, if you're going to use all 4 of your 24-hour clan boss keys, it would take a bit longer. Maybe some of your runs are a bit shorter, but I'd say roughly 60 minutes is what you're going to be spending on clan boss every day. I would say the next most important thing after doing your clan boss per day will be your faction war runs, right? Where you get those glyphs in particular, which are so limited and can make a huge boost to the quality of your gear for the time spent. So 6 stage 21 faction war runs at 2 minutes each. You might only do stage 20. I think that's what people will typically do. Like if your stage 21 run is too long, you're only going to do stage 20. Obviously, if you're earlier in the game, you're not going to be on these stages. It might be faster. You might skip them. It might be slower. I don't know. Either way, it's not that much time, actually. Faction Wars is actually a very, very short amount of time. You probably have a good feeling for this, a good vibe for it yourself. Faction Wars is like, oh, boom, get in there, get my stuff to Forge Perception gear, get my glyphs, and bam, I'm in and out really quickly. 12 minutes for all of it, pretty much, which is actually pretty good. Actually, let's go to Doom Tower next, right? So Doom Tower, again, this one, I'm probably being overly generous here. I'm going to say using 10 gold keys takes 1 minute per key for 10 minutes. This is probably too generous. Like the boss fight, the 10th key, probably takes you much longer than that, than 1 minute. So yeah, this is being very generous, but we'll stick with it, right? We'll stick with it. Don't worry. It's still going to be shocking. About 10 minutes for that. Probably realistically, it's more like 15 or 20 minutes for most people, maybe more. Like the first time I was doing Doom Tower Hard with my budget Doom Tower Hard team, right? Centered around Vizix and Seal of the Drakes, Archmage Helmet. Those runs were taking about 5 minutes per stage. So that was taking more like 50 minutes to an hour, you know? Your 8 silver key runs, so you could do super raids for 7 of them, and then you need 1 more, or you could do 1 more super raid run if you've got a secret room, which I haven't added in here. I say probably you're going to farm the boss in about 2 minutes. Maybe it's going to be more than that, though. It might be up to 5 minutes for a farm. It's going to take you at least 16 minutes, I think, at 2 minutes per run, which seems pretty standard, but it could easily be more, again. And then the big thing that I think has gotten much worse. Let's look at Arena. First up, Classic Arena, 25. Let's say it takes you 30 seconds to do a fight, 12 and a half minutes. That's not so bad, actually. Not too bad. But if the fights are longer than that, this starts to add up pretty quick. Certainly, it's a lot of fights to do. 20 tag arena tokens. I'd say it takes 1.5 minutes. Again, I'm being pretty generous here, saying it's the same as like your speed farm in Classic Arena. It probably takes longer than that in Tag Arena, unless you're farming really weak teams during the week. But if you're fighting real teams, this time is going to go way up. It's going to take you about 30 minutes. Again, I think that's being relatively generous. And then the kicker for me, live arena. So with 10 live arena tokens, let's say it takes 6 minutes. That's going to add on a whole additional hour of playtime. And in particular, this is very active playtime of manual focused gameplay, which is kind of nuts. And like I said, I'm being generous. If you think about it, each person gets to pick 5 champions. So there's 10 champions to be picked. You can take 30 seconds per champion. That's 300 seconds if you run out the full timer. That's 5 minutes already. You can spend 5 minutes, and that's not even including the you then both get to pick a leader, you both get to pick a ban. You could have 6 minutes just in the draft if people take the maximum amount of time. So again, I feel I'm being pretty generous here. Let me know, how long does it take you to use your 10 live arena tokens? I suspect it's actually probably much longer than this, which is nuts. But yeah, kind of crazy. I mean, for me, I can tell you that as a full-time content creator for this game, full-time content creator, and someone who really likes live arena, actually, there's been a few days where I don't even use my 10 tokens. I'm like, you know what? I just don't have time. I'm just going to skip today. I'm just not going to bother. Or I'll do my 5 fights and I'll stop. Like, I actually think, like today, I've done my 5 fights and I've stopped. I've got my thing to claim. I'm like, ugh, I don't want to claim it and do more. It's just a hassle. It's just a big old grind. It's too much time. I think that's a really big problem. How much time is that total, I hear you ask? A lot. Bam. My total, and again, I think being fairly generous here, 300.5 minutes. That is 5 hours it takes you to use up just the basics, right? Just using up the keys and the tokens that you get every day that go away with the daily reset that are wasted. Just doing that bare minimum of non-waste, as it were. And yeah, like I said, that's not even focused on using all your energy, spending any gems, etc. Pretty nuts. That is pretty nuts. If we come back to this, I think one of the issues, live arena, like I said, what prompted this for me was having to go through a 20-minute live arena fight. Plus, obviously, the draft as well. So it's probably 25 minutes sitting there for one single win, going like, why does this guy just not leave? Like, please just go. I'm going to win. You know I'm going to win. I know you're going to win. You're just in here with a super tanky team praying that I'm going to get frustrated and leave. And I was frustrated. And probably in the future, I will just leave, to be honest, in that situation. I'll just go, okay, you know what? I don't care. I'm leaving. But for the first time I had to face that, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stay in this fight just because I think what you're doing is kind of a dick move, basically. But yeah, I was asking people, how long do you think the maximum time limit for live arena should be? It is 30 minutes right now. 6% of you, that was over 2,000 people have voted. 6% thinks that the 30 minutes is right, or potentially longer than that, I suppose. I didn't put a longer option. 0%, a few people did vote for 25, but it's come out as 0 because there's so many votes. 6% at 20 minutes, 25 at 15, and 63% of people are saying 10 minutes. That is 1/3 of the length of what the actual time limit is right now. That is a crazy difference. What the community wants and what Raid has put into place are actually completely out of whack here. It's actually crazy. In my opinion, this is a bit tough for me. For me, I'm leaning towards 10 or 15. I find it tricky actually to pick between the two. I do think you could have some legitimate fights that would last more than 10 minutes, like where you both have tanky teams and there's good strategy and it could be a good fight. But at the same time, I feel like that's fairly rare, and I kind of would rather it just be 10 and just get on with it and get over with it, and have the stall strategy be a little less viable. Like, you try stall it out, you're just going to lose, whereas right now you can build a stall strategy team, and because it can take up to 30 minutes, it's much more likely that the other person's going to quit and you get a win, and you get to keep climbing up and hassling people with your stall strategy team. And I can understand. I got lots of people commenting saying, yo, I do a stall strategy because it's my only way to win. So I'm going in to get my wins and climb up. That's why people are doing it, because it's viable. I think this is building into it. But yeah, let me know what you think. what can they change here? This is the thing. What can they change? Like the faction wars isn't too bad. I'm being generous with Doom Tower, and it seems difficult for them to change that. The clan boss is pretty hefty, but again, it seems difficult for how to change that. Same thing with the multi battles. They can't really change that. I would say arena seems to me to be the obvious one. Like 25 classic arena tokens. It's not that much time, but it's a hell of a lot of arena tokens. Same thing with Tag Arena. 20 Tag Arena tokens per day is a hell of a lot of Tag Arena. I know there's plenty of you out there that are like, man, I probably just do my 5 fights per day to get the advanced quest done, and I am done. I'm out of there. No, thank you. And then again, I actually think the 10 live arena tokens is probably too much. I honestly feel like they could come in and they could half all of this arena stuff, and the game would probably just be better. I don't see how it would be any worse. Yeah, if you had 10 tag arena fights per day, 5 live, and then let's say 15 classic. Let's be generous, 15 classic. I still think that works pretty well. Double the rewards, half the tokens, right? Say, hey, you get twice as many rewards for half the time. I think that's a pretty big win and something they can definitely cut out, especially with Live Arena. But yeah, before Live Arena, man, it was still taking you 4 hours. You add Live Arena on, and suddenly it is taking you 5 hours to do this stuff. That's a long time. And like I said, the Live Arena is a manual thing. You have to focus. You have to actually properly play directly for that time. It is a lot to ask on top of all this other stuff. So Raid seriously needs to do something big to fix this. Something big. Maybe like super raid for multi battles. You can spend more at once. Super raids for clan boss. I don't know. They need to do something though to fix it. Let me know what you think. What would you like to see change? Have you felt like this is a problem with Live Arena? I certainly have. I felt since Live Arena has come out, I'm like, I really enjoy it. But man, the amount of time required, it's just crazy. There you go. Guys, thank you for watching. I will see you all next time. Goodbye.